My name is Jennifer Newman, and I am the program director for the business programs at Bryan University. And I'm with my colleague today, Marjorie Rosen.
Marjorie Rosen. I am the program director of the healthcare vertical stacks at BU.
So our other colleague, Dr. Tammy Cooper, who's our vice president of academic affairs, couldn't be with us today, but we work really closely together. And she said, Jennifer, go ahead and take this. You're the lead for our partnership with Credential as you go. So I'm really happy to come and talk to you guys about what we do at Bryan. And our presentation today essentially has two learning objectives, which is describing how our stack works at Bryan and applying a credentialed approach to designing academic programs. Okay, so these are the topics that we're going to be covering today. We're basically going to be looking at the vertical alignments with our curriculum, how we align our industry and curricular alignment, and using data to inform how we make our decisions. And then we'll end with a few minutes for some questions and closing. So, if you will, bear with me 1 second. Here we go. Okay, let me get myself ready so I can act like I know what I'm talking about. All right, so shall we get going? The first section of our presentation is about the Bryan University, or we call it BU, our verticals and our curricular alignment. So, Marjorie, do you want to explain to our colleagues here how we create our stacks at BU?
Yes. So thank you, Jennifer. Our stacks are built up of our vertical little program. So the first thing that we have is we have a certificate program. And of those certificate program, all of the curriculum that's in there is put together so that it aligns that to be able to go into the associate program. There's a dual enrollment process, so they get enrolled into the certificate and also into the associate program. So it's a seamless transition. From there, the associate.
Oh dear. There we go. Did we
Okay.
lose you? Okay.
Okay. From the yeah, thank you. Thanks, Dina. From the associates program, we have all of the credits that are there that automatically align and go into the BS completion program. And so that allows the student to be able to go from start to finish and have these little exit points along the way so that they can go do life, they can go do work, they can do all the things that they need to do, but then everything comes back and they can continue their healthcare journey. So, Jennifer, back to you.
I'm not sure if we lost Jennifer.
Oh, I think so. Okay, let's see if maybe I can share my screen. Jennifer, do you still hear us?
I think she just dropped off.
Sorry about that.
Oh, she's back.
I went and took a nap for a minute. Okay, great. Only all
Technology
day
is great
today.
when it works. And
Oh
then
my
when it
word.
doesn't.
Honestly, I know it. Okay, back to the scheduled programming. Sorry about that. Okay. Where did I leave off with you, Marjorie?
We need to go forward one.
Gotcha. All right, next. Okay, so this is basically just a bird's eye visual for everybody of our stacked programs. And I know the reason I created this slide was for people have varying interests and maybe they want to go look at the business stack or the healthcare stack. And so we just wanted to give you just a blink to see what this looks like at Bryan. And Marjorie, do you want to explain your health information management slide?
Yes, thanks, Jennifer. So what we did in this design process was to take a look at what it would look like for a student or a customer to come in and what would it look like for the whole piece. So we're introducing them to the healthcare field through our medical billing and coding program, that certificate program. It's very well known. And so people come in, and then during that time, we talk to them about the value proposition of what is going to happen when they enter the world of health information management and all of the possibilities that are related there. And so then we start to talk to them about what else do they want to do in their career. And then as they go through the associates program, they start to develop new skills, new ideas, new career opportunities and goals. And that way we talk to them about the BS completion program and the two different tracks that are there. And as they start to develop again some new skills and they say, oh, now I want to be a manager. Now I want to change the world. We can tell them like, hey, if you want to change the world, that's actually policy. You're going to want to look at our Masters of Public Health and understand that platform. And so we give them this one track so they continue to move forward with it.
Great, thanks. So if we want to sort of unpack this just a little bit further, we're going to blow up what is my program at Bryan, which is the business program. So what you'll see is first, we have 3 columns of degree leveling. Our first column is certificate, the second column is associate degree, and the third column is the bachelor completion program. These 3 columns make up 120 credits. So the certificates are generally going to be 16 to 30 credits. The associate degree, the next 30 credits, so that's a total of 60. And then the students would advance to the completion program for 60. But what we've also done is at every level in our degree stack, we've embedded industry certifications. Now, none of these are graduation requirements, but they are recommended because, for example, if you want to be in digital marketing, it's great to have Google Analytics certifications and get your Meta certification within your degree program. But again, none of these are graduation requirements, but we do try to work with them and career services to talk about what the added value is on their own resume if they're able to get these third-party certs. So our next slide is Marjorie's program because they take a little bit of a different approach because their industry is different. So you want to tell us about your programs, Marjorie?
Thanks, Jennifer. So yes, if we come back and we take a look at, we're introducing the person to the healthcare ecosystem based on the medical billing program, then we have to give them what we said. We want to go through the billing program, and then by the time you reach here, you are now eligible to sit for a third-party credential through the American Health Information Management, which is a HEMA, to sit for their CCA. If they decide that they want to continue moving forward, then they go into the associates. We've kind of built up that desire to like, hey, let's look at some more new things that you can do. How about getting that Lean Six Sigma? Understand what that means. Understand what these different processes go. But hey, you still want to do coding. So now we're going to give you a level up. We're going to upskill you because now you're going to be eligible through the knowledge to sit for that third-party certification, which is a certified coding specialist. And we are programmatically accredited for our associate's degree through CAHIM to be able to then allow the students to sit for yet another third-party credential, which is the Registered Health Information Technician, again offered through a HEMA. While we're doing this, we are then giving them a value proposition of, well, what would you want to do next in your life? Give me your 5-year goal. Give me this. And we can now talk to them about the health information completion program, the health administration program. And there's 2 pieces to that. There's a track for health information management systems and a public health one. And so if you are to take the track in the health information management system, we now align ourselves to a new third party, the Health Information Management Systems Society, which is known as HIMSS. And they have 2 credentials based off of where are you in your life, in your career skills. You may be eligible to sit for the Certified Associate in Health Information and Management System, also known as CA-HIMSS, or the Certified Professional, which is known as the CP-HIMSS, and that is that credential under HIMSS. If you fall under the public health track, then you become slightly eligible to the certified public health. Public health has a 3-year minimum. And so we talk to them about that and we build the value proposition of the Masters of Public Health. So our approach is, let's look at the industry, let's look at things that are recognized as you move through your career.
Great. Thanks, Marjorie. As always, healthcare is always the more complicated one, right? But that's in real life as well. So Back to BU. So how do we do this? Well, the first thing that we do is we work with our exceptionally talented instructional design team. And I say that because I see a couple of them on the call. And so shout out to them. These are actually real professionals who really understand the craft of designing learning programs, and we rely heavily on them. We use a very overt Bloom's taxonomy framework, as well as a learning outcome assessment framework that is grounded in a GE. For those of you that are into assessment, we actually use a learning outcome assessment framework that uses GE competencies with our accreditor. And then finally, we do curricular mapping to our third-party certifications, as well as LO assessment, so that we can have this big overview of how do our programs line up in a much similar way to our previous slide, which showed all of our verticals, but then we map the courses with learning outcomes as well as credentialing. So Marjorie, can you tell us a little bit though of how do we disseminate this across the institution for students and all of these stakeholders that we have listed here?
All right, thanks, Jennifer. So training begins from the very beginning before someone comes in. So we have to really start training our admissions reps to understand what our programs are, what our verticals are, what are the skills that they're going to learn, what are the credentials that they're going to get so that they understand how to sell our programs. What is the value proposition if they enter and the ease of transition from one to another to another. Then when the student comes in, we have coaches, which are our advisors. And those advisors, they meet with the students at different points and intervals within their program, and they get to, again, add value proposition. They get to understand what credentials. So we give all of our coaches a kind of like a cheat sheet that says, this is who we are. This is, if they're in this program, these are the credentials you need to work towards and inspire them towards, give them the purpose of why they came here so they can continue the program. And then we also have another scaffolding, another resource, which we call the academic consulting team. So they're made up of peer mentors and tutors that really help them build up what they need for industry standards. There was a question on there about, do you do skills assessment? We're an open enrollment platform. So that means we are lucky to work with what we get, which means that we have to skill them up. We have to scaffold. We can't give them big steps. We have to give them smaller steps so that they can get up the ladder. And that's what our team does. And again, training, training, training. We talk to about our faculty. Where are you? If you teach this course, where is that in this program? Is this a certificate program? Is this associate? And what kind of skills are you really building in this? So not only focus on the curriculum, but understand and start to discover the soft skills that are needed in this as part of your development. And faculty, as Jennifer mentioned, career services. We've got to work with career services and let them know if they graduated from here, this is the skills that they've learned. And so that they understand and be able to work with the employers to accentuate the skills that they've learned. And then right here is just an example that shows one of the workshops that we're having. It's called a journey through healthcare. I'm responsible for the undergraduate programs. And then Kim Foster is responsible. She's the PD for the MPH program. But we meet with the students together and at different times throughout their journey, because again, we want to show them the big picture while they still have little landing points from one to another, so that we always remind them, when you go off into your life, you can always come back because you already have this foundation. Keep building.
Thanks, Marjorie. Great. So let's move on. How do we align industry though to our programs? We actually do this in a very thoughtful and systematic way. So when we're thinking about how do we align with industry, we use a couple of external tools. We start with program advisory committees. We use Lightcast, which is a software platform that I'm going to talk about in just a few minutes. And then we also use programmatic accreditation, which Marjorie described a little bit. Our curriculum is designed to stack. And the number one most important element of a stackable vertical for degree programs is the ease of transfer of credits. And so this QR code, if you want to know more about how Marjorie has worked with programmatic accreditors, that's an interview that she's done with the Journal of AHIMA on her discipline that talks about the credentialing model and what it means for industry and for students in healthcare programs. So let's unpack this just a little bit. So we rely heavily on our PACs. And what are PACs? Program Advisory Committees. So our PACs are made up of 3 different types of advisors. First of all, we have our industry advisors for every single program vertical at the university. And in that PAC, you'll find industry advisors and people who are working in industry that can inform us, albeit anecdotally and qualitatively, what their needs are for our graduates for their skills. But PACs also have 2 other really important industry advisors. One is a general education industry advisor to make sure that we're giving our students within our degree programs the appropriate kind of skills that they will need on the other side, which are probably mostly soft skills from our programs. And then the other important industry expert that we have in our PACs are distance education experts. So we're getting experts from other schools that are using best practices to come in and make sure that what we're offering to our students through technology and courseware and all of the rest is in alignment with best practices for online education programs, but also for maximal success of our students. And then finally, I mentioned this before, but we do rely heavily on Bloom's taxonomy and learning outcome assessment, because what we do is we combine these 2 frameworks in order to develop meaningful program learning outcomes that are actually according to the entry career level for the certificate, associate, or bachelor's degree with the appropriate level of rigor. And our designers help us to make sure that our programs are progressive so that we're starting with entry-level skills, working to mid-level mastery skills, and then mastery-level skills into professional pathways with our bachelor completion programs. So let's get to the good stuff. Lightcast. All right. I neither work for Lightcast and I am a very basic user of Lightcast, but let me tell you why we use Lightcast and why it's made a huge difference in our development of our programs at Bryan University. Lightcast is essentially a subscription software that we purchased a subscription to that gives us aggregate data so that we can develop our programs. And here's what I mean. When we decided to develop a tax preparer certificate, we went to Lightcast, and step 1, we needed to know, first of all, what is the industry demand for tax preparers? And as you can see with this graphic, this is data from 2021 to 2023. There's a huge demand for qualified tax preparers. So now we know that we have demand for this kind of training. Second, it's a spider that goes out to the internet and aggregates all of the job descriptions with aggregating the various job demand skills, salaries, geographic locations, all the metadata around these job descriptions from places like Indeed, Monster, Career Builder, and it generates these reports for us. And so what we can see is this is a very decent level of compensation that could make a magnificent impact to many of our students' lives if they were able to get these kinds of jobs, and that on average at any given time there is a tremendous demand for this type of position. What's really important about this, which I'll talk about in my next slide, is that Lightcast provides us with empirical and aggregate data as opposed to my feelings and my gut, which are were not correct, which I'll show you now. So my gut said no, but it was actually a yes. And I'll let you guess what that might have been because it's kind of obvious. But this is another report that we got from our Lightcast subscription. And what is interesting about this is a Sankey diagram. So all of you PhD people, your brain cells are getting crazy right now. I know, because it did for me too. But what this represents is actually fairly simple, albeit elegant. The height of these different colored bars indicates a couple of things. It indicates frequency, but it also indicates relatedness and relationships. So you have kind of a lot of dynamics going on with this, but I just want to draw your attention to the red and the blue bars. If you follow those through the Sankey diagram from one side to the other, which is a time frame, what you'll see, and it becomes quite obvious, is these are the top skills in demand for a tax preparer position across all positions in the United States. This is very important because there's a skill in there called marketing. When I saw this, I'm the business program director. I said, nah, tax preparers and accounting types, they don't want to take a marketing class. We're not doing that. And they said, well, here's your Lightcast report. And what I realized is I had to take a step back from my gut feeling and really understand what this data was telling us. And what this data was telling us is that marketing is one of the top 4 skills demanded for tax preparer positions all across the United States. And I had to think about this and I had to understand this. What I finally figured out is in the actual operations of doing tax preparation, particularly for the employers, which is another section of our report, what we found is that tax preparer positions are required to generate their own client database, which requires sales and marketing if you want to build your book of clients. That is super important for this kind of a certificate to be able to train our students. Because if we're not training to the skills that the employers are demanding, which is what this diagram is showing us, then we're not offering the right set of courses. So we developed a sales and marketing for service businesses marketing class for these students because it was based on demand. And so our courses in our tax cert are accounting, some individual and business tax, and a marketing class. And so that's how we did it. And again, it went against my gut, but it was the empirical data that informed this decision.
Hey, Jennifer, I'm just going to jump in. We have
Yes,
4
ma'am.
minutes left and a few
Got you.
questions in the chat.
And I'm so sorry that I flaked out. Okay, so
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. This is all great information, and we could be here forever. But
yeah, right.
unfortunately, we only had
Can't.
30 minutes.
So just to give you an idea of how we use data at BU, we wanted to show you some snapshots. We use Power BI, which is a partner to SharePoint. And all this is showing us is that we do monitor a lot of data within our university to understand our students as they move through our stackable programs. This is an example of matriculation rates. And there's various reasons why business is very high performing with matriculation, whereas some of the other programs maybe not. But what's most important about this is that we're using this kind of data to, first of all, understand our students, and second of all, to really be able to allocate appropriate resources and make better decisions. And so I'm going to quickly jump to the next slide, which is our second to last, to give you another example of how we use our data. The top graph is the pass rates of one of my business classes in Excel, and the bottom graph is the pass rates for one of Marjorie's courses. And basically, we wrap it up in a very quick nutshell. She and I are looking at different pieces of this data to understand our student behavior, make curricular improvements, and help develop our faculty, which is just a very important piece of this stackable credential model. So,
Hey, Jennifer,
wrapping things up. Yes, ma'am.
Before you go on that, there was a couple of questions in here that I think are really interesting that I want to be able to get to. So Megan asked a question about how long did it take the programs to get aligned? And so my little piece to that is I think it depends on how you map your programs. If you want to start mapping your programs now, like say, what is it that you think that you can stack? Do you like the vertical stack between certificate all the way to undergraduate? Or do you want to do beyond graduate and start looking at like the big picture? How do you want them to get in there? And then start taking one program at a time and saying, here's the credentials that I want to add. Here's the credentials that I want to have. Can you go up, Jennifer, to I think the fourth slide up here that kind of shows the whole vertical, slide 6. Keep going.
You bet.
This one, go down one more. Start here. Decide what are the things that you want to do. Start putting that together in your mind. because that's going to help you put those different pieces together. And then Tracy, can you drill down to local need? You can drill down to, I believe, a zip code,
Yep.
but that is very
In
detailed.
Lightcast, yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
you can go very global or you can go very local depending on what your needs are. So anyway, we really appreciate you guys coming to our breakout room. So we'll see you guys on the other side. And thanks a lot.
Thank you.